Alright, so today I'm going to be attempting to survive 100 days on a deserted island in hardcore Minecraft. In this challenge, I'm gonna have to survive natural disasters like tornadoes and hurricanes, new dangerous mobs like huge spiders and venomous snakes, as well as several outposts around my island to try to keep me trapped in. Also, in this video, I want to defeat the final boss that guards my island, the Sun God. He is extremely powerful with lightning strikes and melee attacks, and can even spawn minions to help him. Defeating him is going to be super challenging. I hope I can do it. So I hope you guys like this video. If you do, please be sure to hit that like button and subscribe if you are one of the small percentage of people that is not subscribed. And with that, let's just jump into it. All right, so the first thing I need to worry about here is food, because we are on a deserted island, so there are no cows or pigs or anything. So I immediately got some tools and started wandering around my island looking for some food. Couldn't really find any animals until I came across this village where I got some bread from one of the chests, as well as some carrots and wheat from the farms. And that was gonna help sustain me for a little while at least. So once I got that, I went exploring my island, and on this one corner, I found a temple, so I went down, and it didn't really give me anything amazing other than maybe some string and some bones, but that was really it. I did decide to use some of the string to make a fishing rod, so that way I could get some fish and have a bit more of a sustainable food source. After that, it was starting to get dark, so I went to the village looking for a bed, only to find out that for some reason, there are no beds in any of these villages. Now, you can use 4 string to make 1 wool, however, I was 1 string short of being able to make a full bed. I saw a fire ogre over there. I wasn't really prepared for that, so I decided to stay away from him, went looking for some other mobs, eventually found the spider so that way I could get my final string to make a bed, and we could sleep away our first night. I then spent the next couple of days primarily just gathering food by fishing all day, doing some farming, helping using some bone meal to improve my carrots and wheat, because before I could do really anything, I needed a sustainable food source. Once I got all of that done, finally I could go mining. I saw this ravine, so I decided to head down, and I figured it was a good place as any to start. And sure enough, I eventually found some diamonds while I was strip mining. I then spent the next several days continuing to mine, getting more supplies. I eventually did stop really quick so that way I could smelt some of my iron so I could get full iron armor, as well as make myself an iron shield, so that way in case I was in a cave or anything, I would feel safe from mobs. I also made a diamond pickaxe and grabbed myself 4 obsidian, so that way I can make an enchantment table as soon as I get back to the surface. While exploring, I also found this really interesting mob spawner room. There was actually 2 spawners here, so that was really nice. Opened up the chests, looted all of that, cleared out all of the mobs, got a ton of light up in here to stop the mobs from spawning, and wrote down the coordinates for this for later. Eventually, once I was done mining, I went back to the surface to make myself a diamond greatsword, which is an extremely powerful sword, way more powerful than a regular sword, so that was really nice. And then I made a chest, sorted all my stuff, and things were looking pretty good from here. I also wanted to get some enchantments, so I went into one of the villages and put down an enchantment table right next to those bookcases so I can get a little bit better enchants. I did get sharpness and some protection and stuff on my tools, but nothing really that great. I then went exploring around my island to see if there was anything I missed, just hopping in a boat. I didn't want to go too far so that way I didn't get attacked by anything, but while I was floating out here, I actually did find a pirate ship, and I wasn't really certain how strong these pirates were, so I decided to be a little bit secretive and actually sneak into the boat from below. That was actually a really good idea because as soon as I snuck in, I fought these 2 pirates and actually got down to less than half HP. So if I fought them all at once, that would not have been good. I then went to the surface to clear out all the other pirates until all that was left was the captain. So I took out his guard, killed him, and there we go. The ship is now mine. The mutiny is complete. I don't really have a use for this ship, so I just grabbed some of the wool because it was the only thing I really could not get because there was no sheep. So I got all that wool, didn't need the ship, so I just decided, you know what, we're just gonna burn this thing down. I mean, might as well just see it all go up in flames, walk the plank, and there we go. All of the evidence from my little mutiny is now destroyed. Hopefully the sun god wouldn't come searching for me now, and I could make a nice, clean getaway. When I got back to my island, I noticed this ogre here, so I decided to fight him now that I had decent stuff. And thanks to the reach on my sword, he absolutely could not touch me, and this thing was super powerful, and I just took care of that ogre extremely easily. I continued to work around my island a little bit, improving my weapons, making making new tools, enchanting them, getting more food, stuff like that. I was running low on gold to make my golden carrots the best food source I could get, so I knew I needed to go mining again. And when going mining, I also could get a ton of cobblestones. That way I could build myself a nice house. I decided I wanted to build a castle because, you know, why not? And you needed obviously a ton of cobblestone for that, so gave me the perfect excuse to go looking for some more diamonds and stuff like that. I eventually did find this really cool treasure room with a bunch of diamonds and emeralds and gold all up in here. It was only veins of one, but there was still quite a lot of these veins. So I mined all of that out and then basically just strip mined for a really long time. I ended up getting nearly a stack of diamonds out of this and more than enough cobblestone from several trips to get all the stone that I needed to make my castle. All that I had to do was smelt all of this. And I had so much that even with the 14 furnaces I had, it still took days to smelt all of the stone and get all of the supplies ready that I needed to complete my castle. Now, I'm actually a terrible builder, as most of you know. I have no idea how to build a castle, so I did have to find a tutorial online on how to do it, and that's what I'll be following. And while I was waiting for all of that stone to continue melting, I decided to get myself a little bit more enchantments, and that's when a sandstorm actually happened. And thankfully, it was a sandstorm and not anything else, because sandstorms are more annoying than actually deadly. They just pile sand everywhere, as you can see. So I cleared out all of that and continued smelting. Now, I wanted to have replay mod to have a nice time lapse of me building this castle, but every time I tried to install it, my Minecraft would crash. I have no idea why. I think one of the mods that I had for this video was incompatible with it. I'm not entirely certain, but yeah. So I'm just gonna have to show you this is all the supplies that I have, and I didn't really have a space to build it, so I had to improve some of my tools, get some TNT, and explode this large mountain out of my way, clearing out this entire area just to put my castle here. It took me quite a while to actually clear all of this out because the TNT was not enough to clear out the entire mountain, and I eventually had to do the rest of this by hand. It took me a couple of days to get everything cleaned out and all sorted, but eventually, a couple of days later, we were ready to go. We had our flattened area ready for our castle. Now, I don't want to show you a sped up first-person footage of me building this because that looks horrible. I tried. So I'm just going to be showing you this in stages. Here is the outline after a couple of days getting a bunch of this done. I eventually did actually run out of supplies eventually and have to go mining more. I don't know how that happened. I was building some windows when all of a sudden a hurricane started and started lifting me in the air and getting rid of some of my blocks. Thankfully, I wasn't being launched into the sky like you normally are. I think since how I had this diamond armor, it was weighing me down, because ordinarily when these things start, you get launched hundreds of blocks in the air. It took me so long to fight against this hurricane, but I was eventually able to get back towards my base to sleep for the night, and that's when I noticed the hurricane actually took away some of my chests and just dumped my items on the ground, including destroying my bed. Thankfully, from the pirate ship, I actually had an extra bed, so I grabbed that and placed that down and was able to sleep. And that's when I noticed that actually some of my items disappeared, and I started looking for them and I couldn't find them anywhere. I'm not certain if they got carried away in the hurricane, but yeah, a lot of my items disappeared from that, so that was a shame. I lost a lot of progress, but I still had a lot of the important things like my diamonds. I then got to work back on my castle and skip ahead many days until finally we had our castle completed. And this is what it looks like. Absolutely fantastic. You weren't supposed to build it with acacia, but I didn't really have spruce or anything else, so that's what I built it with. Again, amazing video tutorial. Would highly recommend if you want to build a castle. I'll leave proper credit in the description to the person that came up with this design, but yeah, amazing. Moved all of my items. I had a farm growing on the roof so I can continue to get my wheat and my carrots and everything necessary, and this thing looks absolutely amazing. You know, if we're deserted on an island, we best be deserted in style. After all of that, I still needed more supplies, more diamonds, because I was going to need more diamond armor to combine with my current diamond armor for better enchantments, because I knew the sun god was going to deal an amazing amount of damage and I needed to be really prepared. So I went mining again. I found this extra mob room, which was really nice. It had some good supplies in it. I wrote down the coordinates in case I wanted to make a mob grinder later, and then I got back to mining. Again, primarily the thing that I needed from all of this was diamonds, because I was going to need to make new sets of diamond armor, diamond tools, really everything, so that way I could combine it and make better enchanted gear. After doing that for several days, I got back to my base, and I actually, from all of that, now had well over a stack of diamonds, more than enough that I needed for this entire project. I worked on also smelting some of my ores and stuff because again, I needed all of that gold to make golden carrots. Now, like I said, I wanted the diamonds for better enchantments, but I need a lot more XP for that. So now is the perfect time to actually turn that zombie spawner into a mob grinder. Since how this room is really wide open, it actually saved me a little bit of time making this mob grinder. I didn't make anything too fancy. I just used water to lead them into this little row where they would then move down and all fall into this one individual spot where I could hit them. I then spent quite a while here just AFK grinding for all of the XP until finally, after working through all of that, I had 34 levels, which was more than enough to get all of the enchantments that I wanted. I then went back to the surface so that way I could get everything done, and the primary thing that I wanted from this was a better diamond sword. My current sword only had sharpness 1 and I really wanted that to be better, but I was also going to work on improving my armor. I did manage to get looting on my sword, but not better sharpness, so I would have to work on that eventually in the future. And then as for all of my armor, I upgraded, I'm pretty sure, everything here to protection 3. I wanted a better sword, like I said, so I had to go back to the grinder to get more XP, come back, until finally I was able to combine my 2 great swords for a sharpness 3 greatsword. And this thing could one-shot basically any ordinary mob, so I was feeling quite safe at the moment. I also eventually worked on getting a higher level bow, and I needed arrows because I already had arrows, but they got lost in the storm from a while ago, so there were no chickens and birds that I pretty much could find. I managed to find 1 bird to get a couple of feathers, but that was it. And that's what I remembered actually around the time when I first started. I found the skeleton spawner on my first mining expedition. So I went back to the skeleton spawner, and I was just going to use my looting greatsword to kill all of these skeletons and get all of the arrows I need from there rather than just crafting them. I cleared out this room a little bit. I didn't bother using any, water to make this a proper grinder because I didn't need to be here for very long. I just needed to kill maybe 20 or 30 skeletons to get all of the arrows I needed. And after spending a little while here, I eventually managed to come away with this with 2 stacks of arrows. After going back to my base, sorting some of my chests and getting myself ready, I decided actually the first thing I was gonna do was kill the ender dragon. I knew the ender dragon was gonna be super simple and super easy to kill, much easier than the sun god. So I went to the nether looking for my blaze rods, and I noticed a fortress off in the distance, went over to that and immediately found myself a blaze spawner. And thanks to the looting on my sword, I really only had to kill maybe 5 or so blazes before I got all of the blaze rods that I needed. And now the only thing that was left were my ender pearls. And of course, we're in the nether, so this is the best place to look for endermen. I quickly came across these 2 endermen, and I have a feeling the pigman knew was about to go down, so he started guarding him. That was really funny, but the enderman eventually moved away, and I could kill the enderman. And I actually got really unlucky. Neither of these endermen actually dropped an ender pearl, so that was really annoying. But yeah, I basically just spent my entire time in the nether running back and forth all around, waiting for more endermen to spawn. It did take a little while because since how there were extra mobs added into the game, that meant less endermen. But eventually, thanks to my looting sword, I only needed a couple more ender pearls left, and I found my final enderman, killed him, got my final ender pearls, and we could finally make our way back home looking for the stronghold. So I threw that first Eye of Ender, and we were on our way. The first thing I came across was this pirate ship guarding my island, so I decided I had to really quickly take care of them before I could make my escape looking for the stronghold. So I just burned down their boat, made them all jump ship, and there we go. Sadly, it did actually take me a really long time to find the stronghold because we were deserted on an island far away from spawn, so I had to run thousands of blocks, but eventually I did find the stronghold. I made sure to grab these books so that way I can make extra bookshelves once I get back home, so I get level 30 enchantments for the actual challenging fight. I quickly found the portal and put all those in to make my way to the end. Like I said, I wasn't really scared of the ender dragon thanks to all of my gear. I was more than prepared for this fight. I was way more scared of the final boss fight, the sun god, more than the ender dragon. I used my bow, took out all the towers really quickly, and thanks to my greatsword, I dealt a massive amount of damage to this ender dragon. As you can see right there, he still had nearly a third of his HP left, and I managed to get the ender dragon down to almost just a couple more hits and literally flew away with a sliver of HP. Used my bow to get the final hit. And there you go. Easiest dragon fight of my life. More than prepared for that. That was super simple. I grabbed all of the XP because I needed that to get my level 30 enchantments once I got back home. got the dragon egg, because of course, why not? You always gotta grab that. Hopped in the portal and made my way back home. And now it was time to prepare for the fight with the sun god. I wanted to make health potions, but I didn't actually have any melons, so I had to use the melon seeds that I had and the bone meal to grow them, so that way hopefully I could wait for that melon to grow to get a glistering watermelon for my health potions. While waiting for those to grow, I decided to scout around my island to find the sun god's base, and that's when I actually spotted it in the distance, that little hut out there. So now that I have the coordinates ready for that, I made my way back home. I couldn't get too close, otherwise he would start attacking me. Once that was done, I continued preparing for my fight by getting more arrows, better enchantments, more food, more golden apples, a whole bunch of stuff. I spent days preparing, and still no melon. I absolutely couldn't believe my luck, so I just AFK'd here waiting until finally a melon spawned. I think I was too far away through all of my preparing for that melon to actually spawn, but once I got that done, I got my health potions, got everything ready, got in my boat, and we were finally ready to take on the most challenging fight I have ever done in Minecraft. I made my way to the island, I charged the sun god, and immediately got myself caught in quicksand. And if that wasn't bad enough, a snake came around and bit me and poisoned me, and then I got struck by lightning, and I was doing so much damage, and I actually got kind of scared. I got down to half HP, but I regrouped, made a charge, I started killing off all of the minions to make this fight a little bit easier. I got a little bit closer, he spawned in some more minions, ate myself a golden apple, and started dealing more damage. He blasted me away, which is really annoying, but by now, a ton of minions had already respawned again, so I needed to take care of them. Once I did that, I went towards the sun god again, blasted me away, which is really annoying. If he just let me attack him, I could kill him really simply, but yeah. I ended up taking so much damage. I was eating golden apples left and right, and then he shot a laser at me. I had to use 2 of my health potions and a golden apple. He lifted me in the air and then shot another laser at me. It was dealing so much damage that I actually had to run away, regroup, re-health before I could come back. As soon as I came back, he shoot another laser at me. I used the health potion, used my final golden apple, lift me up at him, and that's when I finally killed him. And I got down to 2.5 hearts. I had no more golden apples and no more health potions. I was so unbelievably close to dying. I used all 3 of my health potions and all 9 golden apples, and I just barely killed him with all of my level 30 enchanted gear. But I grabbed his mask for that reward, and the mask actually lets me spawn in these minions and they protect me, which is really cool. As soon as any mob attacks me or I attack any mob, they just immediately group up and start assisting me because I was wearing the sun god's mask. So that was really, really cool and unique and interesting. I didn't really have any time to experiment with the mask due to what time it was and how close we were to finishing this challenge. And it was right here that I actually realized I had this bow I totally forgot about. I could have used the bow to deal damage on the fire god without even getting close. I was kind of mad at myself for, you know, forgetting that. But like I said, it was getting really late. I had to make my way home, so I made my way back to my original island with my spoils. And as is tradition on my channel, I usually like to bring my pet that I get into the house to be with me on the final 100th day. I unfortunately couldn't manage to get any pets during this video, but I did have my minions, so I decided to spawn all the minions in my house, and they can spend the final 100th day with me. And there you go, ladies and gentlemen. That is how I survived 100 days on a deserted island in hardcore Minecraft. It's actually insane how much work we were able to get done throughout all of this. Getting an absolute massive surplus of diamonds, the level 30 enchants, building the castle, killing the ender dragon, killing the sun god, an XP grinder, absolutely everything. It was so insane. I hope you guys liked it. If you did, please be sure to hit the like button and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one.